Welcome into Cota's Cove. Today we're going to be reviewing Superman 2025. All right, so to start this video off, I just have to say I am not a big Superman fan, never have been. I am a biased Batman fan. However, I was hoping that this movie would be good just for the sake of the DCEU because I am more of a DC comic fan than I am a Marvel fan. With that being said, I have to say, James Gunn, this was a good start to your DCEU. I had a lot of fun during this movie, and that is the main thing to remember, folks. We go to movies to have fun. Superhero movies are supposed to be fun. And I have to say, James Gunn did a very good job about making this movie fun. I went into this with low expectations just because there hasn't been a movie I liked from the DC Comics universe probably since Wonder Woman 1. Everything else has been very disappointing, hasn't been fun. I don't care. I'm sorry for you Zack Snyder fans. I don't care about the Snyder Cut Justice League film. Should have got the first one in the first place. Still not a fan of that movie. Everything was rushed. I just thought the whole universe it's in chaos. So to do this, we're going to do an old classic pros and cons list. I'll start with the things I liked, and then we'll get into the things I didn't like, and then I'll go ahead and give you my rating. First off, the best part of this movie is the chemistry between Superman and Lois Lane. David Corenswet and Rachel, I'm not going to pronounce the last name because I'll butcher it, did so well between the scenes with each other. I wish there was more scenes with them. There's some emotional moments in this movie between the two of them. They're in this film, Superman and Lois are still new to dating. They're trying to, figure out how they're going to make this work since, they both work at the Daily Planet. They're both reporters and, everybody wants to cover Superman. The tension between them, struggling with their relationship, how well they balance each other out, and the connection between them in this film, really well done. Wish we had more scenes of that in this movie. What I also like that James Gunn did here is depicting Superman's human side. Superman's very vulnerable in this movie. Superman gets beat up a lot in this movie, and that is nice to see because usually in every other film, Superman's just OP. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big Superman fan. He's just an OP person. So what they did in this film, showing the humanity of Superman, making him more vulnerable in his conversations he has with Lois and in the ending climactic fight with Lex Luthor, thought that was very well done. It was a very nice character building movie for Superman. Next part that I really liked about this movie, this film is colorful. It feels like a comic book is leaping off into the screen. Bright colors everywhere, which is what Superman represents. We did not get that with Henry Cavill. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. Thought he did a fantastic job. They did a better job portraying what Superman actually is from the comic books. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, the film looks beautiful. Everything minus the kaiju in this movie. I was not a fan of the kaiju. In this movie, too, we get John Williams' original score, and that is some of my favorite music in the whole film. They do this thing where they kind of slow it down while they play the theme song in spots. It meshes so well. John Williams' score for Superman and his theme is so iconic. It's so good. It adds a lot to the scenes that is played in this movie. Another thing I'm very happy to say, Crypto is in this movie a lot, and I was nervous that Crypto was only going to be in here for a few seconds and just, be like, oh, hey, remember about him? But no, he's actually in the movie quite a bit. The relationship between him and Soups isn't the best. Superman is trying to figure out how to bond with this dog or get the dog to listen because Crypto really doesn't listen. And Crypto was very well done in this movie. Enjoyed every scene he was in. Near the end, I'll try not to get into spoilers too much, but there's a big storyline probably coming up that is shown to possibly happen at the end of this film. Lex Luthor in this movie, played by Nicholas Hoult. I'm a big Nicholas Hoult fan, like him in pretty much everything he said. He did a fine job. Me personally, this wasn't my favorite Lex Luthor. I'll kind of get into that more of my cons here in a little bit, but I thought he did an okay job. They had the look for him. He looked like Lex Luthor. There was just some character portrayals in this film that I wasn't a fan of. And as stated earlier, James Gunn definitely put his touch on the movie. This felt like the DC Universe version of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's got that kind of sane, fun vibe. Music intertwined in this movie. We have punk rock music is the theme for Superman because Superman states he's punk rock. A lot of people I've seen complain about that. I don't mind it. I feel like that's, Clark Kent's way of trying to mesh within the world, become a, he's a punk rocker. It's something to help him, kind of blend in a, in a goofy way, kind of like how Captain America would try to blend in when he comes out of the ice. So I kind of felt that it was going towards that, and I was okay with it. I don't mind the punk rock Superman. I thought it was kind of fun. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into my cons. I don't have many, but there are a few that stood out in the film that will end up taking down some points for me. This movie is incredibly fast paced. It's honestly too fast paced. I mean, we are jumping in scene to scene to scene to scene to scene, and it's like there's no pause. It's just full blown go. I think that actually does this movie a disservice. I think there should have been more times where they slowed it down a little bit, hit on some of the emotional tones that we were going for in scenes, which we're going to talk about here very shortly. But you're in, and you're in for the whole time. I mean, there is no time to take a break. If you got to use the restroom during the film, you're in trouble. This movie is super fast paced. Another thing I didn't like, we're going to get into a little bit of spoiler territory here, so be warned if you haven't seen the film, go ahead and watch the film before we get into this. One big plot point in this movie, how Lex Luthor gets the world to kind of turn on Superman, and this is where the big plot comes into play. Superman, gets crashed on Earth from his parents because we all know Krypton's gonna explode and there won't be a Krypton. And Superman uses this message he has from his parents to do good, why he wants to help people, why he wants to save people, help people of Earth. And Lex finds the original footage and gets the help, if I can't remember the villain's name is. But they piece it together and it ends up turning into Superman's parents want him to rule and conquer Earth and get the people to bow so he can raise Krypton up on Earth. I did not like that at all. It takes away from what we've known for Superman for so long, what Superman is, what he represents. And it's taken and going in a completely different way. I don't know if they're probably gonna, get rid of that later down the road and maybe it was doctored footage or something, but I did not like that choice. I like the idea of Superman trying to fulfill his parents', wishes and him using that motivation as to why he's helping people, why he does what he does. It's very much like Batman. Batman uses his parents' deaths as his motivation for why he does what he does. And I just did not like that change that they made from this. Now, one big thing and one big gripe a lot of people, including myself, have of James Gunn, he ruins emotional moments with unnecessary humor. For being how fast-paced this movie is, we do have some scenes where they get emotional. The message gets very important, and you see character development with Superman, Lois Lane, and James Gunn ruins a lot of it with forced humor. Marvel style humor, because everybody wants a piece of Marvel and what they've done in the first, phase of Marvel and all the magic that, those first set of Avengers film captured. They do it again in here and it takes away from some of these scenes. Like you have a scene with Superman and Lois, really breaking down, getting to talk with one another. This is after Superman finds out about the message, and in the background we got this alien fighting the Justice, I can't remember what they're called. They're not the League, it's like the Justice Squad or something like that. And it takes away from it. Like we had a really good scene, really good character development, and it gets halted because of a joke. And then we go right back into our next scene, and then it's like that. So I'm gonna dock points for this movie because of that, because I wasn't a fan of the, the forced humor and everything. It's okay to slow down, take a breath, have some dialogue and exposition that, is gonna develop your characters further. Another thing that I wasn't a big fan of, and I kind of had a hint that I wasn't going to be a fan of this, was the camera work in Superman's fight scenes. We have a lot of shots where the camera's like following Superman and they'll tilt it at a certain angle when he's going to hit something. And to be honest, it's just not my cup of tea. I wasn't a fan of that. It's very hard to follow along what's going on because there's some spots in this movie and fights where Superman does some really cool stuff. And the way the camera angles are, it kind of takes away from it. And there's some stuff you can miss because it's an awkward camera angle. I don't like it. I'm sure there's people out there who could probably get motion sickness from it. I could see that, especially if you go and see this in 3D, because that is an option. The 3D mix with those camera shots, I bet you some people are going to be feeling a little icky after watching some of these scenes. Another problem with this movie is I think James Gunn was trying to show everybody what all can happen in this universe, but it does the old Spider-Man 3 sin. Too many characters in this movie we did not need. Really did not need Green Lantern. We really did not need Hawkgirl. We really did not need, Mr. Terrific. Although I did forget this Mr. Terrific in this movie done so well. He's almost, if not given just as much screen time as Super, maybe a little bit more, and he's done fantastically. One of my favorite parts of the film I was not expecting. Nathan Fillion playing Green Lantern did a really good job. Was impressed with that. Hawkgirl, though. Isabela Merced, I think is how you pronounce it. She played in The Last of Us Season 2. Bella Ramsey's love interest. Her character is completely wasted in this film. She was so annoying in this film. She does nothing. She adds nothing to the plot, but when she's on screen, all she does is this Hawkgirl screech and scream. It's the most annoying thing ever. We wasted time with her. I don't know why she was in this film to begin with. And then the last con that I have is the post-credit end scene. I waited 15 minutes to watch it because, heard there was two. There's a mid-credit and a post-credit. And the post-credit scene is a complete waste of time. It does nothing. It shows you no hint of what's coming. It's supposed to be a little comical banter between Mr. Terrific and Superman after, the big rift opens up and everything. And it's just a waste of time for that, to be honest. I was a little upset I sat and waited for that. I could have Googled that and been just as fine with that. Now to get into my rating. And overall, I had a lot of fun with this film. I was not expecting to. I was expecting, to be let down again, see what type of crap DC was going to put out, and see how they were going to go along. But glad to say this isn't the case. This movie is very divided among fans. There's a lot of hate going on, and to be honest, it's because there are some of those that are just on the Zack Snyder train, and the glaze is ridiculous. They will not give them the opportunity to see the positives in this movie. This movie does a better job of portraying Superman the way Superman's supposed to be portrayed. In this movie, they focus on Superman focusing to save people's lives. I mean, he even goes and saves a squirrel in this movie. That's just how Superman's character is. He's a Boy Scout, little goody two-shoes. They portrayed that very well. Henry Cavill's Superman was taking down buildings, and he didn't care if there was people in it. That is not Superman, folks. There are some positives in this movie. This movie is not by any means trash. I've seen it's a parody of Superman, and no, it's not. It's more closely related to the comics than some of the previous films we've gotten. Yes, movie's very fun. I think it is worth going to theaters and see. This was way better than Jurassic World. So if you're debating whether to go see mutated dinosaurs that don't actually show up in the movie until 5 minutes left in the film, or a movie that's actually fun start to finish and kids are going to enjoy through and through, sounds pretty easy to me. Superman's definitely worth going to see in theaters. I'm looking forward to see what the next installments of the DCEU under James Gunn's going to look like. I have to say, though, James Gunn, if you do Batman film, do not put the humor in that film that you put in this film and do it. Do not screw with Batman. Don't do it, buddy. I'm warning you right now. Don't do it. But yeah, my rating for Superman, I'm surprised I'm even going this high. I didn't think I was going to. I'm going to go ahead and give Superman a 7 out of 10. Definitely a fun watch. Definitely worth going to the theater, getting a bucket of popcorn and watching Superman do his thing flying across the screen. It's a fun time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Kota's Cove. Hey, if you like the content, make sure you leave a like to let me know you like it. Hey, be a pal. If you aren't following the channel, go ahead and drop me a sub. We're on the road to 1,000 subs, everybody. Most importantly, if you like the content and you think somebody else might like the content, go ahead and share it. There's plenty of room in the Cove for more people to come on down, everybody. Be a friend, tell a friend. Come on down and join the Cove because the water is fine, baby. Thank you.